Hello and welcome back to our Space Pickle series, and this is episode 2 and we're looking at Duna and back again. So I've only done Duna once before, which is a bit shocking with all the hours I've put into Kerbal, and I thought it's time that we went there again. So I was a bit unsure how this would go. I've got the mega rocket too, my second kind of version of it. The first one wasn't very good, so it's probably a little bit overpowered for what I needed. It looks a bit like a Saturn V, to be honest. In the centre there with two big side boosters. It's probably a little overkill for what we need for Duna. But it worked, which looks a bit wobbly there, but yeah, it did what it needed to do. So in terms of who we've got on the sort of crew, we've got Pickles, we've got Tequin Pickles, and Frankie the Fracker, our three new sort of beneficiaries or owners of Radish Space Industries. So they wanted to go. I told them no, but they really wanted to go. As you can see, a little bit of a hiccup there with us losing some of those fins, but it's okay, we won't need those in space, and we will just pretend that didn't happen. So we're just getting ourselves into orbit now. I managed to do this without having to, reload, mess up, press the space bar at the wrong time, or even have a Kraken attack. So yeah, it's pretty good. So we're looking good there for orbit. So obviously with this new, pretty inexperienced crew, a little bit worried about things going wrong, but because I've got the no respawn option on this, just to give it a little bit of challenge. And there we are in the cockpit, looking at our new heroes of Kerbin. They could be the first Kerbals to ever go to another planetary body. It'll no doubt help their sales of pickles. So their other ambition, other than to go to Duna, is to make a space base. So that is probably what we'll be looking at as well in this series. And obviously one of their big goals is to have a colony on Lathe. I haven't told them how hard that's going to be for an idiot like me, but I've kept a bit quiet on that front. So that was it's pretty quick, kind of easy sort of transfer to Duna. As you can see, we're arriving at Duna, and you can see Ike there. So I was pretty much on a collision course with it, and it kind of sped us up a bit really. So it was a fairly large burn to get us into a Duna orbit, but I managed to pick up some extra science on the way, which is good, because we need that science. Because I've never filled out the tech tree in this in science mode. I don't know why. I always tend to restart. It's definitely some sort of weird problem I have with the game. But a nice shot of Ike in front of Duna there. And as we look to approach, just close enough to get some science. We'll need to go to Ike and maybe have a look what's on there. Probably not a lot, probably just some rocks to kick about and some dust to bring back home for the scientists to get excited over. But yeah, this rocket is not bad at all. I'm hoping, when I do a rocket, I tend to like to make it like a multi-purpose thing, so we can reuse it for other things. The sort of predecessor to the Mega Rocket 2 was kind of what I used to put some of the Broseb International Space Station into orbit, or the main truss, because it's quite a, the truss was quite heavy, and I launched it in one go, and it would kind of fold out. Again, if you want to see that, you can look at the videos on my sort of main channel for that. And we're just hanging outside the command module there, grabbing some science, which is always good. Bit of an EVA. So I've gone for a Apollo style mission here, where we've kind of got the command module will stay in Duna orbit, and that'll be Frankie staying in orbit because he's not safe to send down to the surface, so that was perfect. So Di and Tequin will be making their way down to the surface, and once they're down on the surface and done what they got to do, they will be heading back into orbit and hooking up or rendezvousing with the command module, which will allow us to, we'll transfer all the science over and allow us to sort of hopefully get back home. I'm hoping I don't have to come here and save them. Fortunately, they're a bit like me. They're a bit dim, so they don't use as much oxygen as your average Kerbal. So they should be able to last you for quite a few years and allow us to get a rescue mission if needed. Don't really want to lose their financial clout that they give us, which is good. So there will be parts, maybe I haven't got a lot to say, because it's quite a long video. It's going to be about, I reckon, 21, 22 minutes. So yeah, if I haven't got anything to say, I will just leave the video talk for itself. Obviously, there are people who do Duna far better than I will. This is more of your kind of idiots kind of guide to get into Duna. So what you can see here is we've got the ascent, or the lander, in the center there. So much like Apollo, you kind of need to get that command module away to sort of dock it and transfer your crew over. Or although we could EVA and do that, which I think is what the Russians were planning to do for a moon mission. But on this one, because of the heat shield there, which probably didn't need, there's no way for it to sort of get itself going to the surface. So what I had to do was we'd link it up, and then we would use the command module to kind of burn towards the surface and dock, and then keep the command, give the command module another sort of boost back into orbit, so that the lander would head down gently, and the command module would then stay in orbit. If you get what I mean. I think you know what I mean. Basically, we're just using the power of this command module to go down, so we can keep our heat shield on. I didn't want to risk having the lander burn up on the way down, which isn't, because the atmosphere is quite thin on Duna. It's not normally a problem, but it's me for once actually preparing a mission a little better than usual. So I suppose long term be nice to have some sort of base here as well, so I'm gonna have to get used to doing maneuvers and getting to Duna a bit easier, being more efficient with my transfers, which is always a problem I've had, despite my 600 plus hours on this game, which is a real issue, isn't it? But you can't knock a trier, someone who's willing to try and keep going. So that's our kind of like cargo dock. We've got some of our bits that we need for a command module, our monopropellant, and our science box where we can store all our collected science. So just getting the last of that in there, and we should be hopefully ready to undock soon. And there's our descent burn, bringing ourselves down towards the surface, and a quick undock. I was going to say zooming away, but making our way slowly away from that lander so we don't have a collision, and bringing our orbit back up to a safe position. And now we can go back to our lander, ready for the big moment. Big moment for me. I think my first attempt at this, which was successful, I was Ike in the background there, was similar to this. Again, I used an Apollo kind of a mission. I suppose I need to try some sort of maybe, you know, a kind of a complete command module that can land, get itself back into orbit and back to Kerbin in one go. That would be quite cool. I need to do that at some point, because this is kind of very similar to repeating what I've done before. We've got that kind of LEM Apollo style landing sort of command module there, sitting on top. I suppose it's, in one way it's kind of similar to what you've got with the LEM itself, but probably not as cool as that. And our parachutes are away, ready for us to, and our heat shield gone, ready for us to kind of land. I think we've got a little bit of a little something stuck there. Landing legs out, ready to hit the deck. Plenty of fuel on this thing. We finally lost that bit that was stuck to us, and going in for a nice gentle landing. Now I unfortunately landed on a bit of a slope, which meant that for a little while we kind of slid down this hill for a little while. Eventually it stopped. Get our aerial out and our solar panels so we don't run out of power, which would be a pretty big disaster if it did happen. It's like a mobile base, isn't it? Just trekking its way on that slope. We'll grab some science while it's moving. And there we are at a stop, finally. It took a bit longer, it took a few minutes for it to stop, but got there in the end. Get a ladder out. And Tequin is the first out there. First Kerbal to ever set foot on Duna. What a moment this is for Radish Space Industries. Making history. I haven't got anything clever to say. And there's Dai with his visor down. Doesn't want to be on camera. Just grab some rocks from Duna. We'll take them back. Plant our flag so everyone knows we own this place now. It's ours to keep. I don't suspect we'll come back to this particular spot because it's a bit hilly. I had enough problems getting this lander here, but I couldn't imagine trying to land some proper modules. A good look around our landing spot there. So after collecting our signs, we're going back. I think we spent about a day there or something. Not a huge amount of time. On our way back up now. Hopefully to rendezvous with Frankie in orbit. We've kept him busy. We've given him some DVDs to watch. Told him not to press any buttons. And hopefully he'll listen. But there's no guarantees there. So you can see the red arrow there is just a mod that allows you to kind of track your predicted landing kind of spot. So thankfully, because Duna's got this nice thin atmosphere, it's quite easy. You don't need a huge amount of power to get back into orbit, whereas like Kerbin or especially Eve would be far more difficult. I mean, I think even Lathe's quite difficult, isn't it? In terms of you need something more akin to what you'd have in Kerbin, or maybe not quite that much. But I don't know. I've never landed and tried. I've landed on Lathe, but I've never tried to get back up into orbit. So I suppose I'm gonna have to build something that tests that out. It'll just be a case of getting into our apoapsis so I can make a burn. I completely mistimed it. As you can see, the command module's way behind, but we can, because we're on a lower orbit, we should be able to catch up to it on the next orbit, as it were. Nice small 400 meters per second burn there. So actually, looking at that, more fuel burnt than I was expecting. That's probably again because I just arsed it up a bit. There we go. Orbital burn now. Better put that ladder away. And we're now on approach to Frankie in the command module. This went fairly smoothly, without too much trouble. So I think I mentioned the next episode will probably be quite a. I don't think it'll be a very long one. It's we've had a contract from a government agency asking for us to put a big telescope into an orbit. So we're looking at, we've seen the Hubble Space Telescope. We've decided to call this the Bubble Telescope. We didn't want to copy the name, but it looks it's going to look very similar. So just getting into a lighter patch there. Just so it'll be a bit easier to see the docking. Probably could have put lights on, couldn't I? And that would have sorted it out. I suppose it wouldn't be as good on camera to see just some lights trying to dock with each other. And I'm just using that old cheeky method of just controlling from the docking port, getting both to fixate on or target each other so they keep each other kind of facing each other, and it's just a case of slowly pushing one towards the other. And fingers crossed that they connect. That's quite a gentle docking for me. And we've docked. So time to transfer the crew, the science, and everything. It's all on there now, all stored. So at the very least, we won't strand Tequin and die on the surface of Duna. So a bit of a cut now to me heading towards Kerbin. I didn't bother recording the transfer maneuver. Again, it went quite smoothly. So there's Kerbin, there's home. Our arrival. So they're now one of the biggest celebrities on Kerbin now. The men who went to Duna, or the Kerbals that went to Duna. I mean, hopefully if any of you guys have actually enjoyed this, please just, give me a like, subscribe. I'll be looking to do at least a video a week, if not more, and you'll hopefully see a new series, a new playlist or series coming up, where I started it on my other channel, where it was like Kerbal crossover with games. And it's going to be the Kerbal crossover with just me building stuff, different crafts. The first one will be the ship from R-Type, the sort of shmup game. I'm actually really chuffed with how that's come out. It looks pretty damn good. So there's our descent to the surface of Kerbin. We've gone for a splashdown. Always best to be safe. Goodbye. Oh, that was a bit close, wasn't it? There it goes, blowing up. I think that again could have gone worse, but we're nearly there. Mission is nearly successful, as long as these parachutes open. Because if they do, we're pretty much home. We're on the home straight then. So yeah, episode 3 will be our telescope launch, which will be a really basic video. I think it won't be huge, and the 4th episode will just be us, I think, sending some scanner probes to check out Mimus and the Mun and see where all this lovely ore and precious metal is being stored, ready for us deciding where we're going to build a base. And splashdown. So those guys are going to be well overdue a Nando's or something. I'm sure they'll probably be glad to get back to their families. I'm sure their families haven't missed them that much. And a nice 2,000 plus amount of science. So thank you for watching. Stay awesome, guys.